We currently find ourselves in the beautiful holiday of Lag BaOmer. Imagine you build a company. You invest all your effort, all your strength, all your power into building this beautiful company, and it grows. Say it becomes $1 billion company. And then one day, if the market collapses and you lose everything you built, all your dreams, all the hours you invested, the effort you invested, everything is gone. That is what happened to Rabbi Akiva. You see, Rabbi Akiva, at the age of 40 years old, was illiterate. He didn't know how to read. And then he married Rachel, and she convinced him to go study Torah. He went to study for 12 years, came back home after 12 years, and he heard his wife saying to her neighbor, she's so proud of her husband, that if you want to go for another 12 years, she'd be the happiest woman alive. So he didn't even say goodbye, hello, went for another 12 years, came back after 24 years. And he had amassed 24,000 students. He was now the guru, the person who was responsible for transmitting the next generation the Torah. And then during the time of Sfirat HaOmer, the counting of the Omer between Passover and Lag BaOmer, all his 24,000 students died. That's an average of around 730 funerals a day. Everything he had amassed, everything he had worked for, all his beloved students, they had died. Why? Because they didn't have enough respect one for the other. Rabbi Akiva was devastated. And you would think that on Lag BaOmer, he would be depressed. He would sit at home. He would be miserable. He wouldn't be able to leave his house. Such severe depression. Imagine the company you had built, the company you had worked for 24 years, everything destroyed in one moment. But on Lag BaOmer, on that morning, Rabbi Akiva got up. He said, I don't understand you, God. I have no idea why you did this. Why my 24,000 students had to die beyond me. But he got up the morning of Lag BaOmer, he went to the north of Israel, and he found 5 new students, and he taught them the Torah. These are 5 of the students, including Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. These 5 students are mentioned in every page of the Talmud. And because he did not give up, that is why we have the Torah today. Because those 5 students were able to transmit the Torah and teach it to the next generation. Lag BaOmer teaches us resilience. Last night I heard the story of a young female soldier who served in border patrol. She was 2 years ago. She was in the Western Wall, in that area, in the area of the old city, and a terrorist, a 16-year-old male terrorist, came from behind her and her friend and stabbed her friend in the neck. And her friend was able to scream, Mechabel, terrorist. And she was so close to the terrorist, she jumped on him and she grappled with him for 2 minutes. Hand-to-hand combat. And the terrorist stabbed her 6 times in the head and 3 times in her hand. And it's an absolute miracle that she's alive to tell the story. She suffers debilitating headaches till today. And you would think that such a woman would be crushed, would be sad, would be miserable at home every day. But you look at her and she's smiling and she's happy and she's resilient. Because we move on. We have to move on. In the Belev Echad organization, there's so many wounded soldiers, and this is their story, that we do not give up. No matter what happens, no matter what life throws at us, we don't understand God's ways. We have no idea. And the other person in the Bible who had such a story is Joseph. Look at Joseph's life. Joseph was a person who had every reason to be miserable, to be sad, to be upset. Joseph, his life story was, at 9 years old, his beloved mother passed away. He was very close with her. There's actually no other character in the Bible that the Bible describes how emotional they are. The Bible says so many times how Joseph cried and he cried and he cried. At the age of 17, his own brothers wanted to kill him. They threw him into a pit with snakes and scorpions. They then sold him as a slave into slavery. This wasn't just a moment. They abused him mentally, physically, emotionally. He was abused. If Joseph would have grown up on Park Avenue, he'd need a therapist for the rest of his life. At the age of 17, he was bought by Potiphar, and Zlachia, Potiphar desired him for relations with him, and Zlachia, his wife, wanted him for her own relations. For 1 year straight, she tempted him. She tried to seduce him. The clothes she wore in the morning, she didn't wear at night. Every morning, every night, she tried to get Joseph to violate with her. And at age 18, after a year of doing this, she had enough. She told Joseph, if you don't, I will have you thrown into prison. And that's exactly what happened to Joseph. He was thrown into prison for a crime he did not commit. For 10 years, he's languishing in prison. And you would think he would be miserable and upset and frustrated and angry. Sometimes we are caught in a rut, like we're immobile. We can't move because we're so stuck, we're paralyzed by our fears, by our emotions, by life circumstances. And Joseph, after 10 years, sees the butler and the baker of Pharaoh come into the prison. And the Bible says that he said to them, good morning. Why are you upset? Why are you upset? What do you mean, why are you upset? I'm in prison. For God's sake, I'm in prison. Joseph teaches us that happiness doesn't come from external circumstances. Happiness comes from within. If we're happy because we bought a new car, because we bought a new house, because we have a new phone, because we landed a good job, because we have a new $1 million in our account, that is not true happiness. Because today we have it and tomorrow we don't. But if happiness comes from within, it's because I'm alive, I'm a servant of God, God put me here, He gave me a breath of fresh air so that I'm here for a mission, it's a totally different story. And because of that one good morning, why are you upset? The butler and the baker told him their dreams, and 2 years later Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams and he became the viceroy of Egypt. From a prisoner, from being in the pit in the ground, to becoming the second most powerful person in the universe. That is the story of Joseph. That is the story of a person who did not give up. That is a Rabbi Akiva. That is the message of Lag BaOmer. That is the message of our nation as a whole. We've suffered. We've been persecuted. If it's the Egyptians or the Ottomans or the Greeks or the Germans or the Stalins or the Pharaohs or the Saddams or the Bin Ladens of society, they all share one thing. They want to kill us. They want to destroy us. They've hurt us. They've killed a lot of us, but they've never destroyed us because they cannot take our happiness from within. They cannot take our soul away from us. So on this Lag BaOmer, when we celebrate and mark Lag BaOmer, let us remember our resilience. Am Yisrael, Chai, we are alive. We will persevere, we will survive, and we will witness the coming of Mashiach right now.